think of this as a story of forgiveness. I think of it as a recognition of reality.
Welcome to Let's Talk, ladies, Conversations Across Generations. I'm MB Roberts, an author and journalist, and this is a podcast where we talk to women from their 20s to their 90s about a bunch of hot topics. We ask questions, share experiences, and learn from each other. And it's not just about older women giving advice. We want to know what younger women are thinking too. So let's get talking. Moon Unit Zappa. If you're my age, give or take a decade, you know the name. Moon, who's 58 now, is the oldest child of the late musician Frank Zappa and his wife Gail. And by the way, that's what Moon and her siblings always called their parents, per their instructions, Frank and Gail. Moon's dad, Frank, was a famous rock star, composer, activist. He was especially well known in the 70s and 80s. He was totally experimental and original. Frank Zappa constantly pushed boundaries, and he was incredibly productive. 62 albums released during his lifetime, and even more than that was released after he died. Many people considered him a genius. Remember the song Valley Girl from 1982? That's Moon at age 14 doing the vowel speak. Oh, Gag Me with a Spoon. Remember that? It was a huge hit, and the song became Frank's only US top 40 hit single. Interesting. I did not know that. Post Valley Girl, Moon went on to be a guest VJ on MTV, along with her brother Dweezil, and an actress, a writer, an artist, a podcaster, and founder of a tea company, Moon Unit Tea. Her new memoir, Earth to Moon, absolutely blew me away. She details growing up Zappa, famous people and groupies in and out of their house. That's all there. But it's so much more than a Hollywood story. In this beautifully written book, she details her mom's volatility, her dad's infidelity, and his indifference, and how that impacted everybody in the family. Then, this is the part that blew me away and frankly really hit close to home. In the book, she details the heartbreaking feud that erupted with her siblings when her mom died and left the rights to her father's intellectual property just to her two youngest siblings. This book is so honest, so well written, so just beautifully constructed. I am just so excited to talk to her about it today. Let's welcome Moon. Hi, Moon.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh my gosh, I'm absolutely thrilled to be talking to you, and congratulations again on your memoir.
Thank you. I worked really hard.
Earth, I can
Full
tell, and I know
ghostwriter,
it
all
took.
me.
Isn't that fabulous? That's because usually people have some kind
Yeah.
of editorial help, and it sounds like
Oh,
you.
no, it
So
is me. It is me. So
what an accomplishment! Did that just when that was done? I know that can be a lot of different things. What was it? Just cause for celebration, or did you want to go take a long nap, or
I mean,
a
I
little
think I was in
both?
shock. I keep describing it as like being a shaky impala because I truly re-traumatized myself. In this
Yeah.
process, you know, all these events. The way I mapped the story was I went with turning points. I was like I was one way before the event, and then I was something different after the event, and so I just strung these little things together and revisiting them. I just hadn't anticipated how difficult that would be. So now I want to be a book doula and help other people and just like, okay, because there's a you that's writing it and a you that's remembering it. And I didn't have enough support around the me that was writing it because I lost myself in that process. So it's daunting, but it is worth it. The other thing that happened afterwards was people would come to the readings and they would have righteous anger on my
Mm.
behalf, and so that was the
Mm-hmm.
first time I was having any kind of like mirroring back to me, any kind of reflection back to me. So that was the weirdest part for me was going, oh right, I survived something really difficult, and so it was almost like the healing started at the moment that I was being mirrored. Do you know what I mean? And so
I do. I
unwinding it.
do.
I'm still unwinding it, but
And I can see that, you know, maybe you've gone through the process and you've done a little bit of and when you read the book, listeners, you will know what we're talking about, but, like, you maybe start to heal or forgive a little bit, and then someone comes up and is all pissed off on your behalf, and you're like you're like, "Oh, wait, don't set me
Yeah.
back,
You
don't
know what's
set."
interesting? I people do they're like, "You're so forgiving." I'm like, I don't think of this as a story of forgiveness, I think of it as a recognition of reality and accepting
Mhm,
reality, and the forgiveness honestly is for myself for, not putting that life force into my own life. Some people have described it as a true portrait of toxic femininity, which I didn't even know was a thing until after the book was
mm.
finished. But I've had a lot of therapists come to the readings and just say, "I'm giving it to every single one of my stuck women," and because I think that it's that even though the events might be specific to my life, there is a universal quality to what I'm describing, and hopefully, I've given language to yeah, stuck places inside of the reader, and then the other thing too about the book being done is I finally can leave the past in the past. It's not looping in my head,
Mm.
and so for the first time, I'm living my life forward. It's so weird. I'm a total beginner, even though you know I'm
Oh my gosh.
58 years old, and I feel like I'm just starting to get the hang of life. It's weird.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm thrilled for that, and
It's
so
never
we
too
can
late is the point. I'm
right,
blossoming at the worst possible time in America, but that's okay, what are you when
right.
you gonna do it? You still
Well,
gotta do it, so
I know. Well, if life was perfect, for both of us, until this point, and then all these things are happening, then we'd be really blown over. So hopefully
yeah,
we won't be.
exactly.
So
The thing too is,
that's
like, unfortunately, no one's motivated to grow unless they encounter something difficult, and the more things I've
yeah.
encountered that are difficult, the more I'm interested in learning with gentleness moving forward too. Like, no more of these situations that are if I play a part in
Right.
it,
Where
I
you
need to remove my part and just let the experiences be their experiences. So I'm very
yeah, yeah.
particular about what is my contribution to the thing that's happening, and I just try to get as neutral as possible because you got to get smart with your outrage.
Yeah,
Wise
that oh man,
outrage is
that's
a good thing.
that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. Well, so you grew up in an unconventional house. That is the understatement of the century. Your dad, Frank Zappa, your mom, Gail. It was such a different situation, and you and I are about the same age. And I grew up in a very conventional house, the suburbs of Northern Virginia. My pop had the same job for many many years, and I would have been very jealous. Like I would have wanted your life. Like, is the grass always greener?
You know
Like,
what's so
maybe
funny?
you would
I
have liked
also
mine.
would have wanted the life that everyone projected onto me. So I'm just like I'm seeking that life too. So and yes, I would have craved some stability, some continuity, some how are you, some what's going on, some of that stuff. But everybody gets something that's custom blended torture or custom blended wonderfulness. Possibly not a word, but
Right, right.
it's you just got to look at what's in your weird goodie bag and be like, okay, how can I optimize these ingredients?
Well, I mean, it's like my pop didn't typically walk around, in the buff, but he could be like, the world kind of revolved around him. He was a great guy, but it was like, "Oh, shh, be quiet, Pop's home," or "No, don't argue when Pop's home," or "Don't make too much noise, don't make a mess." Is it like, I mean, is that just a thing of our
No,
generation? Of it,
I'm
like,
sure it's still rampant, that building a world around one person. I mean, I think it would be effective. Like, now we're gonna build the world around you for a change, but and I think also the nature of for I mean, my experience, all my best girlfriends, they're just generous and they're loving and they wouldn't want to hurt anybody. So it comes naturally to already be the pump is primed for accommodating, and so it's I think
mm,
it's rocking the boat is if it's not rewarded in your house, then it's going to feel scary to do it.
that's right. And I just was talking about my dad, but it was my mom who would, she was the much younger only daughter, and so she grew up in a way that she would, she was kind of spoiled, and so if she was mad at you, she would stop talking to you. So, I kind of had to unlearn some of those things, like,
Definitely.
that, if I say something, she'll stop talking to me. It was probably, I was probably 30 before I was willing to just, okay, that's fine. Just, if you stop talking to me, you stop talking but, it's like, so it's not just to pick on the dads.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
the mom's behavior is pretty, important
I
as well.
think that, one of the things I regret is that, though I don't think I could have done anything about it, is that I didn't keep trying to set boundaries and say, please don't speak to me that way, or
Exactly.
I want to have this conversation, but I want to have it when we can both be rational and generous and come from the heart. But I just, you get to a point where you're like, I know how this is going to play out, so I just tolerated things that were I shouldn't have tolerated. And I had a friend growing up that she stopped talking to her parents very early on. Her parents were Holocaust survivors, and any problem
Mm.
she had was nothing compared to what they went through, and they never healed. And so she literally was invisible in her house. And so she's like, well, I don't need this. I can feel invisible anywhere else. So I kept thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, she's so brave to do it." Now I'm like, "She was so smart. She was so wise to know early on that she was worth that she had value and that she deserved to be respected and cared for and listened to and on and on." So it really is a process. It's the starting point. It's weird, but that's again, everybody gets a place where they begin, and if you were further behind the starting line, then yeah, there's a little bit of ground to
Yeah. If it happens at
yeah, yeah, yeah.
55 instead of, 15, then so
Yep.
it does, right? But, well, just I was, really fascinated and, blown away by some of the stories in the book from when you were very young. Your mom at one point had handcuffed you and your young brother together when you were
By our
misbehaving.
ankles
Now,
in an echoey bathroom, and I used to tell this story as a on talk shows, and just as a like an example, like, isn't it funny the kind of parenting? And I really didn't understand that was cruel. And she
yeah,
recorded us, and she said, "This is what you sound like when you're
yeah,
fighting." And so I learned how to just be quiet from time to time. But that doesn't solve the problem. And so anyway, I was on a talk show, and I was telling the story, the charming, delightful, unconventional parenting story. And this woman, her face just kept getting more and more just horrified. And when she's smiling like this, and then the lights go, and she goes, "That is child abuse." And I was like, "Huh?" And I think I must have been in my late teens when that happened, and it just
yeah,
it planted a seed of, is it? And
yeah,
like you described your mother's history, it just keeps echoing back and back and back. You can find someone blameless because they were raised like this, and on and on and on. But honestly, when I hear that thing of like, people are doing their best, are they?
yeah.
I'm not so sure about that. But the ones that can do their best, surround yourself with people that really love you. And but it's if you don't have the map for it, you got to find those people. And really hold on tight to them. It's building the map with no map is tricky business.
It really is, because that's just like you said, that's your reality. You had, like, in my house, it was, if people were mad, they were silent. It's like, my mom would literally be on one end of the house and my pop on the other, and I'd be like, "Oh, they're not speaking, so I just gotta stay out of this. Like, how about that?" And then, when I first got into relationships, even with roommates who were really loud and boisterous and would yell if they were mad, I was, like, cowering
Right.
under pillows. I had to, like, "Oh, it's okay to say I'm mad,
Right.
and then I still love you when I'm done with this." But you were around
Yeah,
a
I
lot
had
of
the opposite.
fights.
So screaming at the top of your voice was just louder talking to me. I was like, oh boy. And um and so I don't know. I just it wasn't until I dated somebody who was angrier than me, I was like, oh, that's scary. And, yeah, and of course, I've made so many mistakes parenting, being the yeller, because those were the tools I learned. And and it's come back to haunt me on both sides, sandwiched in between sets of uh, whatever, just uh, the stuff that I didn't like, and then doing the stuff that I didn't like, that I just didn't know that there was another way to do or be or whatever. I really love the work of Harville Hendrix um, and
Mm,
the Gottman. Sorry, not Harville Hendrix. The Gottman people. They and the work of Marshall Rosenberg. Um, the Gottmans really, you can see the videos online. They really talk about all those different ways of like stonewalling and raging out and blaming and all these ways of being, and so first just identifying those behaviors uh, is already so helpful, and then having tools around how to respond to that and how to rebuild a connection if you're seeking that. And in the book I talk about going to see therapists, and I would tell a little bit of a story and they'd be like, run for your life. And I was like, oh, no, I'm trying to, how do I stay connected to these people and have it work out? And they're like, you can't run for your life. And then I was like, I must be telling it wrong. Maybe I made myself look good. And they're like, run for your life. And I just didn't.
hey, that is a huge thing to learn because like a thing and you were just touching on that. I've always, I don't appreciate people who know better and choose to do worse, but that was something, with my own family members, I was like, are they capable of better? But like, when the therapist gives you permission, like, or a friend or something you read, okay, this might not change. This might not
I
have a good outcome. Maybe I gotta
And
back
even when
away
I
from this.
know that I'm trying to play frisbee with a one-armed stump of a human being who's also blind, I'm still like, they can learn. But it's
Or I could just be a
like,
little or I know better so
I could
I
toss it
can,
in the grass where it just lands gently, and they can scoop it up with the other claw. I mean, it's ridiculous. It does take a minute to be like, no, I mean, the word is capacity. It's also interest, because there's a lot of people that, I mean, I should be in jail. I should be a monster. I'm not. You know what I mean? I really sought out who does uh, kindness the best, who's psychologically prepared for these kinds of things, who, whatever. I was always looking for best practices, and there's got to be another way. And I don't know if that was just because I grew up watching John Hughes movies and being like,
yeah.
idealize things, but like, thank God for movies and television and music that had aspirational ways of being, because I took it seriously, and I was like, well, if there's another way to do it, I'm gonna find it. And so again, I think that's what storytelling does. Books did that for me as well. That's art, dance,
Yeah,
any version of it that speaks to you, that just can get to that thing that you can't quite make sense of. I think it's so important.
it is, and you kept diaries from the time you were really young, is
Yeah,
that right? You kept journals and
yeah. I was
diaries, and I mean, it shows in your memoir that because I always wonder, how does somebody remember all this
Well,
stuff?
of course,
Like
in
it's
some
it's.
cases, I'm writing dialogue because I'm going with how it felt. In some cases, I have
Mhm.
transcripts of things that happened because I wrote things down as it was said. So, but it was very affirming to write a first draft, and I let myself write the "Fu Infinity Forever" draft, and then I was like, "That's not me," but it's a process. Write the first sticky pancake, and then it was so affirming to go back and look at my journals and be like, "Oh my God, that really did happen, and it happened the way I remembered it." Because part of growing up in those kinds of chaotic, dysfunctional households is the gaslighting and having your reality denied. And the other day,
Mhm.
I went to some sauna, and I didn't realize they'd accidentally set the timer to 20 minutes instead of 40 minutes. And when I came out, I was like, did something go wrong on the thing? And they're like, you must have come late. And I immediately thought, oh yeah, I must have come late. And then I was like, I know I got here on time. Like, it was that fast that I still have that
Right.
mechanism that goes, it must be me. And I walked out to my
Yeah.
car and I saw, no, I texted a friend at like, 6:49, and then I went early
Yeah.
actually. Do you know what I mean? I was like, and I was so willing to believe that it was me. That's how bad the damage is, that I don't have that thing like,
Yeah.
no, I absolutely got here in time. I didn't have that like immediate like, no, it's not me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
I do,
literally
I
looked
do.
at the thing. I walked back in. I go, "No, no, I really did arrive at the thing." And she's like, we won't charge you for today." But it was just
It's like, "But
it was
you
so
had to make me go
shocking
through
to
all
me
that. You had
that
to."
I'm still, again, unwinding so many of these things. They're just so deep and so entrenched. So it really takes a minute to unwind it. That's why I say, um, whatever. It's just it's ongoing. Did the book leave it all behind? No, I'm still chipping away. I have to climb I love myself mountain every
Yeah.
day and just and make a new plan for
Right, right,
myself.
right. It's not like that's the end. It's like, "Okay, I wrote the book, now everything is just great," and, well, I just so you were taking care of, your mom at the end of her life,
Yeah.
a good bit, and then can you just tell us, you had some really upsetting news after
Yeah,
she
so
passed. Oh, that was a nice, really euphemistic way, to say it. She rewrote your father's will, the will they had
she
made
rewrote
together,
her will. She said my mother's will didn't
her will.
exist, and she, changed her will. So, my 2 younger siblings, were in charge of the estate, my father's intellectual property, and just an unequal split. I mean, we got something, but it was, like, a humiliating sum, and we'd have to basically ask our siblings for things we wanted to keep in the house, and it was just it was such a curveball, and I was blindsided by it. So I was robbed
Mhm.
of the chance to grieve her, and the biggest pain for me wasn't the stuff. It wasn't. It was that my mother wished my 2 siblings well eternally and didn't wish that for me and my brother.
Yeah,
And I just that was as a parent, it is unfathomable to me. And then I was so hurt that my siblings were like, "We want to honor her wishes." But the thing is that we all came from damage. So it wasn't that I could necessarily. I mean, I guess it is a form of forgiveness. I just
yeah.
they got bad ingredients too, and that's what they did with them, and so that's how that played out, and it's taken me a long time to come to that and to just see people make the choices that feel heroic to them and that are right for them, that are not right for
It's
everybody
it
else.
it's,
So
well, I've just come to after a lot of discussion, I just personally had a situation like this. My mom passed a year ago, and, one of my siblings was in charge of her estate, and with her, rewrote her will to benefit him, almost 100%, and,
so
I
sorry.
was I took care of her, many, many years, and then we were having, uh, we were definitely on the outs, the last 2 years of her life because I brought some of these things to her
Exactly.
attention,
Yeah, give it a voice
and
and
she stood up for him and literally said, "Why are you causing all this trouble?" Me and another sibling, and so I had a lot of peace with her. I did take care of her. I saw her every day when she was in hospice, for 2 months, and I felt great about that. And I was just wondering if you had any. I don't regret being with her during that time because I feel like that was for me and
yeah,
for
I mean,
her.
I couldn't
How
live
about
with
you?
myself if I didn't care for, my mother. I mean, it's just I couldn't live with
Mhm.
myself. I'm honestly envious of people who are like, "That's on you, lady," or whatever relative that is not caring for them, that reciprocity. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a weird process, and death is so finally of like one chance to exit. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
um, and that's how you want to exit. That's how you want to do it. And plus, again, raised on movies where at the 100th hour somebody goes, "I just want to say sorry for absolutely everything." So
Yeah, I never
I can
got
watch
that.
that.
I did get
Movie.
I got some really nice, moments, really important moments where my mom said, "I'm so glad you're
Mhm.
here. I would have been so upset if I hadn't seen you," things like that. "No, I'm sorry,"
Yes.
and I didn't know what was coming, and what makes me sad is that she had said, "Do you think everyone can be friends again?" Meaning me and my siblings, and I said, "That would be great," and thinking it would be challenging, but I'm like, "Not with what you did.
Exactly,
No."
exactly.
No, you set it up for us to fail.
I
It's
know.
really
I know. Some
incredible.
people are just so unskilled at conflict resolution and making sure everyone is supported and not picking favorites and not creating competition in the family. And here's the thing, it can be changed at any time if people are willing and do that work. It really, you can start today. And that's the thing that's so frustrating. And yeah, I mean, it's if it's important to you to stay connected to blood, then sometimes it's just a matter of a Venn diagram, and it could be the smallest sliver of connection, but you can have it. Or if you're very brave and you want to just say, "I deserve better," then
Yeah.
blessings to you. Learn it sooner and go farther faster. It is, yeah, it's a process.
Do you feel like you have, some peace now? I mean, do you have little
I think, yeah,
flare-ups?
of course I have flare-ups all the time. I cannot watch award shows when people are thanking their family. I'm just like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I can't even watch stuff. And if I watch anything with any media about families and whatever, I just can't. It's really hard for me still.
Yeah, at holidays, like, "Oh, family is the
I
most
mean,
important thing." Do you have to, like, go scream
my
in a
F
pillow?
word is the word family. So, and, uh, but that's what I'm working with. Those are the ingredients in my goodie bag. I could add judgment
That's right,
to it,
that's
but
right.
why?
But I know you have had some healing, with your siblings
Yeah, I mean,
or just that's a process that, is
yeah,
what it
because
is,
the
right?
thing is
It's
that my siblings are the funniest people that I know, and we have a shared history. And even though we got different parents, really, which is the other thing that I realized in the writing, it's like, oh, I got totally different parents. They were figuring it out with me and my younger brother, and then they got a little groove on, and then it was a different kind of a world, and the world changed, and their finances changed, and so that was a little bit revelatory going through that process because I always saw us as shoulder to shoulder, but I'm the oldest, and so they
Mhm,
saw me as another thing to be in the shadow of, another parental
mhm,
voice, and that was their experience. And now I'm asking more questions like, what was it like for you? Now that
mhm.
I really gave myself the gift of saying, what was it like for me? I I can hear them now. I just assumed we were all going through the same thing. Do you know what I
Mhm,
mean?
I do,
So
because I that's, one thing that my sister's 6 years older than me, and sometimes she'll say something, I'll be like, were we do I have we met?" Or, "Have you met that person?" But I do have to respect that it was with a
yeah,
different
yeah,
lens.
yeah.
I def Well, how about as a parent, Moon? Just, how different are you as a
Best
parent?
intentions to do it differently, I still make mistakes. I mean, I have a ton of communication with my kid, which is absolutely amazing. He'll say things like, uh, "Can I have a hug?" And I'll be like, "How do you know to ask for a
Mhm.
hug? That's unbelievable to me." Or yeah, it'll just be. I mean, I did so many stupid things like sleep train. That is, I wish I could go back. I could build a time machine and punch these two ladies out and never have sleep trained, because that to me is a form of cruelty I didn't realize there were, because it's really the sleep training is basically the what you do is you put your kid in a room and let the kid cry it out so they learn how to go to sleep on their own, and it creates independence.
Oh,
It doesn't. It creates a kid who doesn't feel supported, and it creates a kid that's totally traumatized. And and that's honestly, it's so that you can get back in the workforce, and it's demoralizing to a tiny human. You wouldn't do it to an adult,
yeah.
so why are you know what I mean? You wouldn't lock an adult out. I mean, unless
Yeah.
you're really ill, so I made many,
Yeah.
many, many mistakes, even though I was trying to do it differently than my parents. So it's, again, it's if you are interested in empathy, it's not just empathy for other people, it's empathy for myself. And I have somebody in my life that she said, don't judge yourself for the thing, stop judging yourself for judging yourself for the thing, because it gives a little bit more spaciousness around. That is how I handled it, with the information I had at that time.
Yep.
That's the best choice I made at that time. And
I like that statement. It's almost like I have said before, like, I feel bad for feeling bad. You know,
exactly.
it's like, "Oh, I everything's cool with me. I should be happy."
Oh,
You know, I do why am I letting this thing
right.
bother me? I feel bad about feeling bad or
Exactly.
like you do the best you can. Do you think now our whole podcast, we talk so often with women of different generations. So you look at a woman in her teens, like
Mhm.
now, do you think they're better at dealing with, really challenging things, or
I
it's
like to
just
think
depends on
so.
the
I have a really
person?
good friend. Her name is Chelsea Gooden, and she's written a book called Underestimated, and it's for girls. And it's about she's basically being called like the Brene Brown of teenage girls. And
Mm,
she goes all around the world and she talks to teenage girls, and it's all about teenage girl empowerment and how again giving them a voice sooner so that it's just as unimaginable to not have everything equal because we're all human beings. Another thing I found out this last year was that um, men go through menopause too, because
yeah,
it's the hormones that change at a certain age. So it's not only women whose hormones change, men's hormones change too. So that was also revelatory to me. It's like, oh right, we're all cuckoo at a certain
right.
as that transition happens and we move into that next wild thing that the body does. I mean, the body is incredible. The body
Oh
is
my
so
gosh, and
incredible.
I hope
So
that, like, that's the really was the big push of starting this podcast was when my friend and I were in our early 50s, we were like, "We have to let the young women know what's coming," and then we realized that was kinda boring, they weren't gonna listen anyway, we had to have a two-way conversation, but we did not know these things,
yeah.
so hopefully they do, or they're gonna know a little
Yeah, I
bit
mean, when
more
I was
and
younger,
just
I didn't know to try to have a baby while my eggs were still good. You're trained to wear a pillow under your shirt, and you're like, this is what it feels like to have a baby. Try to bend. No,
Right.
it is,
Yeah, it comes out in 2
and
seconds, yeah.
they don't tell you you will. I mean, they say you'll probably never sleep again, but they don't tell you the anxiety you'll have about just that disconnect. And I mean, if you're a parent that loves being a parent, I know there's a lot that don't love that process. But for and again, I took this Marshall Rosenberg training that was incredible, where it was a parenting course, and one of the things that they had us do was list all the attributes we'd like our children to have. You know, empathetic, generous, kind to others, helpful, blah blah blah. And the big takeaway was children become what they experience, which is kind of wild, right? Though they're going to learn this stuff if they see you modeling this stuff for them. And one of the things they had us understand, we stood on chairs and we had to talk to somebody in the an adult on a chair talking to another adult, and it was so clearly not even. And so then you think now you're going to do it to a tiny person and tell them to have a timeout or something. You wouldn't say it to an adult. You wouldn't ice them out, except I guess if they came from your family. In my family, I was too much. And so I thought, well, if you can't handle this much of me, you're certainly not going to be able to handle this much of me. But I'm
Right.
learning that the more of me that's present, the more of me can defend and protect myself and set a boundary and say, I get to be my whole self and you get to be your whole self. And if those things are incompatible, let's get a little distance and that
Mhm.
neutral self to again have wise outrage.
There you go, Wise Outrage. Is that the name of your next
No.
book? Or
It's up for grabs.
so oh, that's awesome. So, do you have one in the works? You just kind of I know you're still promoting, this
Yeah.
book that, like, do you have something, planned for
I'm
next?
playing around with fiction. I think my voice really is in nonfiction, but I would like to give fiction a try just because I think it would be fun. That's what I've heard. Um, and yeah, so I'm just playing around with that for a bit. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna just keep making sure people know about the book. It's just gone into paperback, trade paperback, and so I have.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Earth to Moon is the book, and I enjoyed it so much. Enjoyed it. It actually made me cry. I don't cry a ton, and it made me cry a couple times. And I just think
Oh
it's
my
so
god, you
beautifully
laughed
written, and
too.
so glad. Oh my! I laughed
I
a
also
lot.
made
I
a
laughed
tea,
a lot.
which is my Earth to Moon Unit tea because I have a little tea company, and so you
Oh
can
my
smell a book, and
gosh!
now you can taste a book. And this is what my
Oh,
That's what my
that's
book
awesome. You make it while you're
tastes
reading.
like to
Yeah.
me, exactly, so you can have a extra cozy experience.
That's so awesome. Well, congratulations on your book and your tea company and all the other so many
Thank you
projects,
so much.
and thank
I
you
love
for
what you're doing. Yeah, no,
talking to
thank you so
us.
much. I love that you're giving people, just a chance to hear so many different ways of being, and especially being a woman, and, it's wonderful.
Yep. It's something,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's and I there's just something to talk about absolutely
yeah.
every day. So thank you again. It was a treat to
Thank you,
talk to you. So I
thank you.
appreciate it. And that's a wrap for this episode of Let's Talk, Ladies, Conversations Across Generations. We'd love to hear from you. If you like this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And you can comment on the episode on any of these platforms. We love the feedback, and it also really helps us with sponsors. So leave those comments. We so appreciate it. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also send us an email at ltlconversations@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 629-888-3542. See you next time on LTL.